going to go in this hive and see if there's any honey that has been capped. All right, we're going to go in here, and I just want to see, when I went in several weeks ago, we had honey, but the honey wasn't capped. I would just like to see if I've got any capped honey I can pull. I don't have my hive tool, so when I don't have my hive tool, my backup plan is my Swiss Army knife. Swiss Army knives works pretty good dividing them. Sometimes it's a little harder to pry with it. We can make it work. You'd be surprised what you can do with a Swiss Army knife. Now look at that. Look at that. All right. That one is just full of honey. You can see there's just tons of capped honey. When I was in here before, because it had been so cold in April, when I was in here 3 or 4 weeks ago, most of it wasn't capped. But I knew we were going to have some. So what I'm doing is I'm moving it over here, and we should be able to pull quite a bit of honey today. Now, I'm not going to pull all of it. I have not been feeding this white hive or this brown hive, because those are the hives I was going to pull honey from. If I'm pulling honey from a hive, I don't want sugar water mixed in with my honey. I want to keep my honey pure, so I haven't been feeding them. So I won't pull all this honey. I will pull a lot of this honey, but as soon as I'm done, I will then start feeding them. My other 6 hives that I'm not pulling honey from, I'm feeding sugar water. You can see that one down there as an example. That's a young swarm hive. I haven't had that one but a few weeks. But anyway, I'm going to pull these frames, put them over there. We'll take them and spin them out. I think we're going to end up pulling 9 full frames from this hive. I may pull a 10th from the lower box, I don't know. Okay, now that one, it's capped on one side. It's not capped on the other. I'm going to leave those 2 frames for them. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this box and see what it looks like in this box. These boxes down here should be pretty much all brood. Okay, we've taken off that upper box. We pulled 8 frames from it. I'm just going to see if there's a few frames we might pull in this one. Oh, that one's capped. That is very heavy. So I will pull, I'm going to pull that one definitely. Man, that thing's heavy. This feels heavy. Wow. That's hard to sit down. Look at that capping. Okay, we ended up pulling 10 frames out of this box, 8 from the upper, 2 from the lower. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move these 2 frames down into this box, and I'm going to eliminate this box for now. They've got some room, like you can see this. They haven't done much of anything to it yet, and you've got combed out frame here that they haven't put anything in yet, so they do have a little room. And I believe this outside frame and this outside frame down on the lower portion, they've not done much to either one of those. So they've got a little room to do some expanding. So what I'm going to do is move this honey that's basically capped on one side and not on the other. I'm going to move it down. So we've got 10 frames we pulled. I've reconsolidated, and this is now a 3-box hive. I'll watch them and at some point add another box back on them. But for now, they seem to be doing pretty well. They've got some room to grow up here to add honey and do whatever they need. She, I think, still has some frames down in this box that she can lay in. So I'll just keep an eye on them. I try to keep them balanced so that they don't swarm. This hive has swarmed once. I caught it another time right before it was going to swarm, and I created a swarm, which became that box down there, kind of with the green and white top on it, and that hive is just thriving. The queen from that hive was the queen from this hive that I moved when she was about to swarm. I'm going to do a quick look in this brown hive. Those are the only 2 hives that I was going to pull honey from, so let's check it out. So I've got a screen mesh on this particular hive to help them cool down. And I've got a shallow honey super on it. Didn't put it in soon enough, so they really haven't combed it out. All it had was starter strips, so I'm not even going to bother with it. I'm just going to lift it off. Okay, so we're just going to see if there's any capped honey we might pull from this hive. All right, so we're not going to be able to pull this one. The other side is capped, but this side has brood on it. So we definitely don't want to pull that one. We may decide not to pull any from this one. Man, that's capped. So is that. So this one we can pull. One frame from here. Most of the rest of the frames, hey, several of these frames have honey on them, which is great. But they also have brood. And so I want them to have honey. And I will also start feeding this one. Both of these hives I'll supplement with some sugar water because they just don't have as strong a nectar flow now. So basically I pulled 10 frames from the white hive, 1 frame from the brown hive. I'll leave the rest for them and then supplement with some sugar water. The bees that follow me up here, it's not too bad. Basically what I'll do is I'll pull 1 frame at a time, sweep all the bees off of it, take it in the house, come back and get another one, and just keep doing that. And so I won't have bees all in the house. Okay, we have our frames ready to go. I think I managed to get in with only 2 bees coming in with me. One there and one up at the light. And so we will uncap this. Just look how beautiful that is. Just beautiful. So we'll uncap that and then we'll start spinning it. Look into the sound of Sister Hazel. My favorite groups. Started listening to Sister Hazel probably 20 years ago. They performed at a Christian college I worked at for several years. I didn't get to hear their concert, but I did go over and listen to their practice. Got to listening to them. I guess I bought every album I've ever put out. Since then, I have been to hear them in concert. They performed in Huntsville, Alabama. It's about an hour from my house. They put on a good concert. My favorite Sister Hazel album is a song called 20 Stages. I collect vinyl. I'm hoping eventually to be able to get a vinyl copy of it. They only pressed a few. But it was a 20th anniversary album. Just as it says 20 stages, it's 20 of their songs from 20 different stages live. It's a great album. I hope I can get a vinyl pressing of it someday. I've searched the world over. I actually have vinyl shops where they're looking for it for me. I'm on their list. Look at how beautiful that is. That's just some absolutely gorgeous, I mean beautiful honey. My wife likes to do stuff with the wax when I get done, so I try to keep all my wax. I don't have it on its wooden frames this time, so it may bounce a little more. I'm not going to spin it as quickly this time, because last time it damaged the comb on the frames, and of course I give the frames back to the bees, and the more damage done by the spinning process, the more work they have to do to get them back into a usable condition. So I'm going to spin more slowly this time. Okay, we got those frames. And again, I'll give this to the bees. I went too deep right there, so I'll do better next time. And my father-in-law likes it with the comb, so I'll cut him out some here in a minute. Man, look at that honey run out. There you go, Paw Paw. That's for you. This is my first attempt at cutting out some comb. There's little metal frames in here that hold the wax foundation in place, and so you have to cut in between those. All right, we're down to the last 4 frames. This one's a half frame because I cut out some comb. We're down to our last 4.5 frames, so we'll see how it does. And so it's at about 60 RPM right there. Here it's starting to drip down in the bottom. So here's the frames that we've emptied out. And this is the wax I pulled off with some honey. I'll drain that and we'll get some more honey out of that. Probably I'll just use the honey that I drain out of there for us here at the house. And then here are some comb. This is some comb with honey in it for those who like it. I'm going to put that one frame back in the brown box. Then I'll put that whole other box back on top of these other 3 white boxes, and they'll actually clean up and reuse that honey. None of it will go to waste. And then we'll have 10 cleaned out combs for them to use, or I can move them to another hive if I need to. I'm gonna pop this top box off, slip that in, and then get out of this hive. All right, I'll just pull this frame, slide this other one in. This is, and I pulled a frame from them, so I'm just giving it back. And they'll make use of whatever honey's left on there. Okay, we've put the frames back in place. So again, we pulled 11 frames from 2 hives, 1 from the brown and 10 from the tall white one with flowers.